Did you know that 40% of the population feed wild birds? It is the number 2 after gardening, the number 2 outdoor activity. I find that's pretty amazing. And why do we even feed the wild birds? Go fend for yourself. Well, it's because, like we always say, like on your perennials, don't cut back your perennials until spring. Let the seed heads form so that the birds can get it. But unfortunately, with let's just say lots of urban space, that it's not filled with things that the birds can eat. So they need to be supplemented with wild bird food. 50 million Americans feed the birds. And that here's why. Several studies have proved that feeding the birds helps lower stress, anxiety, and depression. Oh, I'm going to feed them more. So, like one of the most popular birds, I love seeing cardinals, not just when they're in that winter scene with the pollinized fertilized winter berries, but anytime. And that cardinals are like, especially they like to perch. They don't like to cling on. Sorry, I mean my head just went off into cling on. They don't like to cling on. Do you know where I'm? You don't have any idea where I'm going. Never. Come on, Aaron, cling on.
I'm trying to follow you.
You aren't following me at all. Anyone? Star Trek, cling on. They cling on. Where's Sam? Sam knows what I'm talking about.
I wasn't a Star Trek guy.
Sam has got to be a Star Trek guy.
Kind of.
Kind of.
He's disqualifying himself already, Sam.
Commit yourself.
Before you get the question, you disqualify yourself.
All right, so cardinals do not like to have a Klingon feeder where they will perch on and cling on to, say, like the wire part of the feeder. There are specific types that will cling on, like it's actually type of cling on feeder. But cardinals, they want to perch, and brome feeders has the great squirrel-proof feeder, and that the best thing about it has what they call a cardinal ring, which allows them to perch. So they'll be able to perch on there, and they'll be able to go and feed, and your squirrels will get pissed off because they can't get the food. So clingers now, okay, they go and they'll go up and that they'll even go upside down to eat. So what type? Woodpeckers for sure. Titmouse, chickadees, nuthatches. Wasn't Carolina? What was it? The Carolina wren?
Yeah.
They're definitely one. And that they'll cut out the food that, like other birds that can't. And especially some of the birds we don't like for instance, sometimes not sparrows. I mean, sparrows are okay, but they like you get sparrows, and all of a sudden your feeder's empty.
Yeah, and they throw everything out.
Yeah. So, but in any case, that it cuts out some of the others, and that's something to keep an eye on when you go to pick out your feeder. Talk to your local garden center. Ask them about as far as will this detract, like grackles, for instance, is like a bad bird, because they come and they'll come in, fly in, and it's not just one. It's like all of a sudden they're emptying out your feeder. So the better food, no matter what type of feeder you have, the better the food. Okay, the better the clientele. Okay. Yeah. So what happens is, like, if you buy crummy bird seed from Sam's Club and it's like a giant bag for, cheap, there's a reason. And it's because it's filled with filler. They put some good stuff in, but then they'll put in like red Milo, or they'll put in millet, or they'll put in things that not a lot of birds like.
You can see twigs in there sometimes.
Yeah, that's right. And what happens is that all of a sudden you think that, oh, they really like that food, but then you find that it's all on the ground feeding the squirrels and some of the mourning doves, which is kind of nice. But it just makes a mess. And then you start attracting rodents. And then you wonder why I have mice in my basement. And like right here in studio, we have Cole's Hot Meats. And it basically is whole sunflower. World Series is just on, right? Aaron, are you a sunflower guy where you take the shells and you shove the whole thing in your mouth?
No, I go and get them without the
shells, like the Hot Meats, but for human consumption.
I mean, when I was younger, we used to chew them.
So if you were watching the World Series, you saw when they would show the dugout that these guys are like spitting out shells.
Right.
The issue is when you have Hot Meats, they'll eat every kernel. When you buy, say, black oil sunflower, they have the shells in there, and the shells take up so much airspace that you actually are getting more for your money by buying the whole thing. Just like Aaron just said, where you feed the shelled seeds to the kids, but they've got to spit that out, and that it ends up taking more of that surface area out, and that where. Again, what are you getting for your money? It may be more expensive to go with the straight sunflower hearts, where it's cheaper to go with the black oil sunflower, but everything is edible in this at the sunflower heart bag as opposed to black oil. Black oil ends up they're basically chipping out the seed and laying it on the ground and everything else, and then it attracts some, just to say, not nice things, rodents basically, where they'll go and try to find something that's still left to eat. One thing, love it, safflower. If you hate squirrels, now you won't attract as many birds. It's almost you have to train them, where cardinals love safflower. Now, safflower, and there's a safflower and sunflower mix. You can get straight safflower. The cool thing about safflower is that it's bitter to squirrels. Now, let's go back for a minute. We were talking about Hot Meats, right? Hot Meats it has capsaicin pepper in it so that it doesn't attract the squirrels. Like if you think of a ghost pepper, did you ever eat a ghost pepper? Hot.
Oh,
hot.
Yeah.
Do you like hot?
No.
No, because you're Cuban.
Yeah.
You're Cuban,
Yeah,
so that's Mexican.
That's Mexican, yeah. You got it.
Aaron, you
No.
look like somebody who would dare to eat a Carolina Reaper pepper.
No, sir, I wouldn't try it.
No?
Remember
No,
he's
sir.
got stomach problems.
Oh, yeah,
You talk
that's
about
true.
the-
Well,
You talk about
you
ghost
remember
peppers.
it twice.
Nobody.
Anyway, that's another show.
Yes.
But where squirrels have saliva glands, so squirrels can taste and feel that heat where birds do not. So birds can go ahead and eat that hot pepper that's on the squirrel-proof feed mixes that are out there, and that's why they don't, it doesn't really slow down the birds at all, but it certainly slows down the squirrels. Safflower is one of the same things where the birds like it, and there's some that don't, like grackles don't like it, which is good because we don't like grackles. But where the safflower will feed the birds like cardinals and the birds that we want, but the squirrels, because of the saliva glands, taste it and it's bitter to them, so they don't like it. Now, I never asked a squirrel, but that's what the research has shown. Sure. Don't be discouraged if you put a feeder out. It's brand new, first time you're going out there. Look, honey, we're putting a feeder up. Yeah. And you go out there and you fill it with feed, and like nobody knows it's there. Yeah. Just wait. Just wait. I'm at the point where my birds are mad when I don't feed my feeder. I mean, I feel guilty. They kind of all are looking around. I think it's like that scene from The Birds where they're going to attack me. It's like, where have you been? But where all of a sudden you'll get to that point where you'll recognize some of the birds that are coming to your feeder, and that it's an interesting hobby. And that's why, makes your blood pressure go down and gets you relaxed, unless you're like, oh, darn it, I got to put the feeder in there. But when you're watching, I mean, is she still watching the bird feeder?
Yeah.
Has she,
yeah?
Now that it's been 2 years,
Yeah.
and she still
They're
is.
still going strong.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So, go out there, get a good bird feeder,
fun.
get something that is a squirrel-resistant feeder. I recommend Brome just because it is such a good brand, reliable, guaranteed. They'll do all kinds of things where if like something happens where your tube breaks or something, I've had it personally where they sent me the parts or fixed it. So Brome feeders, and that they're actually out of Canada. So it's not something, well, maybe it's built in China. I really don't know. But I know that the company is headquartered in Canada, and that's the brand that I would go with. Like them very much, and it's been, I've had the same feeder now for several years. So
Can I make a suggestion?
sure.
Also, I suggest everyone put the feeder in a place where they can admire it, where they can actually sit down and relax. Because, like, it's right outside my daughter's window, and on days like we've had all month where it's super super warm, we can kick back with the breeze coming in and admire the birds as they come and they're chirping in and out. It's beautiful.
Good suggestion. I have one similar thing. It's right outside so you have a sink and your window's above your sink. I have one right outside that window so that while I'm either doing dishes or doing something, in the sink or that area, also that happens to be near a screened-in porch that we have now. Granted, I haven't been out there too much lately, but still I can see the birds. So make sure that you can observe. That's good, but it's not going to scare the birds. Trust me, when they're hungry enough, they're going to go eat it. And just like I said, if you're setting up a new feeder, they're going to be leery of it for a while, but they'll eventually dive in, start feeding, and try to keep it full. Don't do what I do and just starve them out once in a while because I forget. It's like, darn it. But keep it full, and that you'll be amazed on how many different types of birds will feed off it, like downy woodpeckers. I had a full-size woodpecker on the thing, and it was like, looked like a Jurassic Park bird. But again, make sure you keep it full and get one of the varieties from Brome. You'll be good. Anything to add, Julio?
No, you can also use, I did a lot of that before, but I need to get back. And I bought a book, just to see, how the birds are and how they react. And
I went and went online and just went to YouTube, and I went to Northern Red Cardinal Call. Really? And I went and I played it, and all of a sudden, Cardinals were all over. They're like, hey, what's going on? Hey, where is that? Where's that cardinal? He's screeching all over the place. But I've done it with other birds too, like black-capped chickadee. That's all of a sudden they show up. So the bird calls do work. That's why it may sound geeky, but that's why people learn bird calls because they can call them and they're attracted. So
that's a great idea because you were saying about putting it up and you have to wait for them to come in.
Oh yeah,
luring them.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. They're wondering what's going on.
Yeah,
hey, there's a new girl in the neighborhood. That's probably what they're mostly interested in. But it's interesting because you can lure them, especially in the spring. In the spring when the new hatchlings are out, and it's like all of a sudden it is actually more fun. And I don't care if you call me a geek. It is very, very interesting to see the dynamic selection of birds that we have here in the Northeast, in Mid-Atlantic. So get out there, get your birds fed.